You stopped texting. You stopped explaining. You stopped waiting. And right now, you might think you lost. You didn't. Here's what the psychology actually shows. The moment you went silent, you became the most dangerous thing an avoidant has ever encountered. Not because of games, not because of strategy. Because you did the one thing their entire system was never built to handle. You left first. Most people think silence is weakness, that going quiet means giving up. But in avoidant psychology, your silence isn't absence, it's presence, the loudest kind. And here's what nobody tells you about what happens inside the avoidant's mind, the moment you stop reaching out. In attachment research, built on decades of work from John Bowlby to modern neuroscience, it shows that avoidants operate on one core assumption. People who get close will eventually suffocate me, so I'll control the distance. Their entire system is calibrated around one thing: managing how close you get. But that system has a fatal flaw. It was never designed for someone who walks away. Maybe they pulled away first. Maybe they went cold when things got real. Maybe they said, "I need space," and you finally gave them all of it. And now you're wondering, did I make a mistake? Are they fine without me? Did I even matter? Here's the answer psychology gives you, and it's not the one you expect. The avoidance deactivation system, the part that creates distance, has one job:
Don't go.
protect them from the threat of closeness.
I can't do this.
But here's what makes it dangerous for them.
Let go.
It only works when you're pursuing. When you chase, they retreat. System works. When you stop, the system has no target. And a defense system with no target turns inward. Suddenly, the avoidant is left alone with the very emotions they built the wall to avoid. The guilt, the confusion, the question they hate most. Did I just lose someone who actually mattered? Attachment research consistently shows that avoidants, when left without a pursuing partner, experience a significant increase in anxious preoccupation. In other words, they become what they feared you were. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for them. Avoidants are experts at suppressing emotion. They've been doing it since childhood. But suppression requires effort, and effort requires a reason. When you're there, reaching out, explaining, waiting, their system stays active. The wall stays up. But when you disappear, the effort has no target. The suppression has no object. And what floods in is the thing they've spent their entire life running from: attachment. Studies consistently show that avoidants experience a surge in what researchers call hyperactivation, the opposite of their default, when a significant attachment figure withdraws. Translation: the person who never seemed to need anyone suddenly can't stop thinking about you. Comment below. Have you ever gone silent on someone and watched them suddenly reappear? Tell me what happened. But here's what makes this even harder to understand. The avoidant won't tell you any of this. They won't text, "I miss you." They won't admit the silence is affecting them. They won't reach out the way you needed them to reach out. And here's what makes it worse. Not because it isn't true, but because acknowledging it would require dismantling the identity they've built their entire life around. The identity that says, "I don't need anyone." So instead, they perform okay. They post, they move, they appear fine. And underneath, the guilt of knowing they pushed away someone real. The confusion of a system that doesn't know what to do when the threat it was built to manage simply leaves. The slow, quiet realization that they might have made a mistake they can't take back. That is not peace. That is a person at war with themselves, in silence. alone. So here's what I want you to take from this. Your silence was never nothing. It was the most psychologically powerful move you could have made. Not because you planned it, but because it was true. You stopped performing for someone who couldn't meet you where you were. And in doing that, you forced them to sit with what they lost. You cannot control what they do with that. Some avoidance will return. Some won't. Some will heal. Some won't. But you are no longer waiting. You are no longer shrinking. You are no longer making their comfort more important than your own peace. That is not losing. That is the most powerful thing a person can do. If this changed how you see your silence, comment the word power below. Not as a strategy, as a reminder that your absence said everything your words couldn't. And if you want to go deeper, the next video covers what actually happens when an avoidant starts to feel safe enough to come back, and whether that return means anything. Subscribe if you want psychology that respects your intelligence. No toxic positivity. No empty advice. Just the truth about why people do what they do. The avoidant built their whole life around the certainty that they don't need anyone. Then you walked away. And for the first time, they weren't so sure. That uncertainty? That's not your problem anymore. That's their work to do. You already did yours.